We are live.
What's up, everybody? My name is Kazi, and you are tuned in for another episode of Vancity Beats, Eats, and More with the one and only Natasha Gorrie.
What's good, y'all? Cheers.
Cheers. Fellow dancer, amazing human, teacher, choreographer, very important human to our Vancity street dance community. I'm so stoked that she's on the show with us today. We out here on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver BC, and what we call Vancity. What? So on the show, it is morning for us still. We are waking up. Sunday. We got our coffee. It's kicking in. We have our little pre-breakfast. I made some grilled peaches that are not ripe, so they're sour.
A bit tart.
We've got some yogurt. I put some mixed nuts on top, some honey. And for our menu, which, I designed based on who's going to be on the show for the day, Natasha and I, we're in our healthy girl era. We're like low carb. Yeah, we make strides.
We're trying.
I think we're doing good.
Okay, good. Yeah, me too.
So we're in our healthy girl era, meaning we are going to do something that's low carb. It contains our proteins, because I'm always like, where am I going to get my protein
That
today?
gut health stuff, you know?
The gut health stuff.
Yeah.
So we are going to make some zucchini fritters. We've got egg, we've got garbanzo flour, which is chickpea flour, also another source of yummy protein. We're going to mix that up with some shallot, some goat cheese. Ooh. And then on top of the fritters, we're going to use that as a base. We're going to saute up this gourmet mushroom medley.
Now tell us what we have in this medley.
I believe we've got some seafood mushrooms. Mm-hmm. We've got some regular brown creminis. Mm-hmm. We've got some, oyster mushrooms. Yeah. Shiitake.
Beautiful.
What are these? Maybe enokis?
Ooh.
Yeah. You could just get them as a gourmet medley.
Oh, that's what you did. Okay, yes.
And then we've got some red bell pepper. So we'll saute that first. We're going to make our fritters, and then we're going to poach some eggs.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Do you know how to poach eggs?
I am not very good. I could fry an egg.
Yes, that's the default. That's the easier.
Could scramble.
Yeah. And also sometimes poached eggs get messy. It won't come out perfect, but we're going to eat it, and It's going to come with the yolky yellow in the middle. This is the goal.
You know what? This is perfect because I've wanted to get good at poaching eggs.
There we go. Yeah, and I've learned a lot about, it's literally a science of timing the temperature of the vinegar so that it keeps it together. But yeah. And then we're also going to have a sauce to go with the fritters, which is a yogurt, green onion, and garlic sauce.
Yeah.
So
we got our yogurt, our green onion, and our garlic.
So actually, Tasha, while you have that out, you can put that right here.
Should I just take the ingredients off and put it on here?
Or no, because I'm gonna ask you actually if you don't mind to chop up the garlic.
Absolutely.
And to
for sure.
What do you call that? Official term has escaped me.
Chop.
Oh yeah, there you go. Just chop it.
Is this the knife?
Yes, you could use this knife. We could use this bowl.
Okay.
So if you don't mind to mince the garlic and then chop those up, and we'll mix that in there.
Sounds good.
And while that's happening, I can get started on sauteing the mushies and the pepper.
Nice.
Yes.
How long do you saute them for?
I saute these mushrooms until they're brown and crispy.
Nice.
So it's less about time and more about
color and texture.
Claro.
Yeah.
Exactly. The color, the texture, the smell, and the level of crispy, because I like crispy mushrooms.
Yes. No soggy.
Yeah. So I'm stoked to have Tasha on the show. Again, like I said, a fellow street dancer in the community and actually so many people's first hip hop dance teacher, which is sick. You know, like you've really raised so many generations of the dance community. And I wanted to use this opportunity for especially those who just like see you around at jams or at battles and don't really know much about like you or how you started.
Yeah.
If you could tell us your journey.
Oh boy.
You know, reflect while you chop some garlic.
Long-winded. It's a long story, but
We're here for it.
we're here for it. So my dancing journey, I actually started in a ballet class. My mom put me in ballet when I was like 4 years old. And I joined with my cousin.
Yeah. Shout outs to Samantha Gorrie.
Absolutely, Sam Gorrie. Hi. So I started in ballet. I loved it, but I never felt like I fit in. I knew I wasn't the favorite. You don't always have to be the favorite, but
You were over your little bun.
yeah. I just never, but when it came to, there was like, so I took RAD, it's Royal Academy of Dance, and you have exams in Royal Academy. I didn't do so good at the exams, but there was like a free movement part that I just lived in. And when it came to that part, I got like the highest marks and it helped me pass.
As in freestyling, basically.
Yeah, but within ballet and it's little kids. And
Right.
I only did a couple of grades of that. But yeah, that was my entry level. But my parents were always dancing in the house. My uncle was a break dancer early on. Kind of like back then everybody was though in the 80s, right?
It's true. Everyone wanted to try it.
Yeah. And he always dressed in the freshest hip hop gear, and so I like would see his fashion. But as far as dancing, my mom was a dancer in the sense where she would freestyle at the clubs all the time.
Yes.
And she would make these beautiful outfits, and I would watch her, like in the MC Hammer days.
Yeah.
And then she would sew like MC Hammer, the harem pants, and then like a crop jacket, and I would watch her do this.
Yeah.
And with the Paula Abdul patent boots.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Era.
And I would watch her get ready. My mom wasn't like a drinker or anything like that, so she wasn't partying like that. And she had 2 kids, and she was in her 30s. But she just liked to go out and dance and cut a rug.
Yeah.
And so when she would go out, I would just watch her get ready and think it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And because she sewed when she was younger too. I'm going all different places with this. We ain't even talking about my dancing life now.
but it's fully what formed you and influenced you and where you went with it, you know?
And so my mother, she would go to the clubs and she would run into dancers there, and she wasn't really a part of the scene, but she kind of was, because like there would be live bands before DJs like came in with everything. So she would go out and listen to her favorite bands and go and dance like crazy. And then I would sometimes like wake up when she came home, and my earliest memory of street dance was we came home at night and we're in the living room, and she's like, Tasha, look what I learned at the club. She'd be like,
The Running Man!
I'm like, whoa, what's that called?
Yeah.
And she's like, this is the Running Man. And that's like my earliest memory of learning. Other than we would film like the Fly Girls on it from In Living Color.
Yes.
And then we watch the videotapes, and then, obviously Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Heavy D. The list goes on, like the Teddy Riley New Jack era.
Yeah.
Kaz, is this good? Is that the way you want it? Okay.
But I think you could do the whole thing.
Oh, you want the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do the whole thing.
So, that was my earliest memory of me learning like what you call a hip hop move or a street dance move or a groove or a party dance.
Her coming home from the club and you're like waking up.
So yeah, that's my earliest memories of that.
Amazing. And so then how did that translate into then studying or learning more about hip hop?
I really just kind of had no choice. I just followed my mom's lead. I mean, I had a choice, but she just saw how much these dances brought people together in such a positive way. And so she loved freestyling, and she was never a choreo dancer. So she just started creating a movement. And my sister was in dance. My sister, Natalia, she was a part of this movement because she was right along learning these moves and dancing as well too, with me. Do you want me to put this all in here and then just put this in there, mix it up? Okay. With the goat cheese or no?
No, the goat cheese is gonna go with this guy here.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the fritters.
Oh yeah, this is the sauce for the fritters.
And then so, what Mom started doing was, she's like, whoa, I see this I see that there's kids that really want to do this, and it's keeping them out of trouble. This is a positive way to redirect their energy into something that, maybe that she didn't think about it, them being a career, because she didn't even know that could be a full thing.
No one saw that really happening yet.
No, it wasn't called hip hop. Well, when we did it, it might have been. Well, they called it funk dance. Yeah. And so, do you have a spatula?
Yeah, right here.
Thank you. And so Mom was like, I got to teach this stuff. I got to, this is really like having a positive impact on people. She didn't say it like that, but I know that's what you were thinking, Mom.
Right.
And she came from, a background where she didn't have anything.
Right.
So she always created community around her because of that.
She's an early childhood educator, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So she started teaching at the rec centers.
Yeah.
And then right away it was contagious. Because there was nothing like it around. That's what I was looking for. And then my sister was dancing at a studio, doing tap at a dance studio. And she asked the owner if she could teach a class there. And she gave her her first break of teaching a class. And it was a hit. And then she was teaching for the city of Surrey.
Yeah.
And the Parks and Rec there. And then they came to her with an opportunity at Surrey Place Mall. They said, we have a space. It's not rented out.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to do with it for the next bunch of months, but would you like to have this space and run your dance programs out of it for free?
Amazing.
It was carpeted.
Yeah.
I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
A free space. And it was a big space. It was right at the mall, so it was walk-by traffic. And so, yeah, at that time she met Jarek Hizon in the clubs. He was with a group called Front Page.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and they were a dance group, and she had just got this space, and she needed teachers to come and teach. So she met them at the clubs.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey, I got this space, and I'm gonna start running classes. Would you like to teach for me? And so those were Jarek's, I believe, some of his first teaching jobs. Was at Mom's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jarek and Boogaloo Academy. And the Hizon brothers, Jamie too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be real.
Yes. So, and then, so I was and so Jarek was my second teacher other than my mom. And that's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew about your mom starting a dance school and like teaching, but I didn't realize that like she met Jarek at the club. That is hilarious. Yes. So, little quick update.
Yeah.
This is the mushroom medley with the peppers. We've put some turmeric because I'm all about the anti-inflammatory anywhere we can go. Just some salt, some pepper, and tossed in a few of those green onions. So
beautiful.
This is good to go.
And my mom actually, when I was a little kid,
had
us performing in the nightclubs.
Oh my God!
So I was 11 years old performing at nightclubs, and they would have us in the back. Like you weren't allowed to obviously mingle, and it was different times. It wasn't as strict. And so, yeah, Mom had us performing, and then she'd be like, do the choreography, and then freestyle, show them. But yeah, she had all us dancing in the clubs.
I love that. That's hilarious. How many other kids were there?
We had a group of us. It was mixed with adults, like not adults, but young adults. Yeah, adults, young adults doing their thing.
Sweet. Okay, quick cooking break. Now we've got the zucchini, which after I grated it on the grater, I put some salt to draw out the moisture, put it in the cheesecloth, squeeze it a couple times. Jamal had to get in on there because we want to get as much of the moisture out.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to have soggy fritters.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a soggy fritter.
How many times do you think you did the straining?
Maybe 6?
Oh, okay.
6 times?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say 6.
Something around there.
Something around there. So, if you would like to crack the
Absolutely.
eggs, we're going to put 2 eggs in here. We're going to put some shallots. Yeah. Can you taste the difference between shallots and purple onion, really? Or red onion?
I just put this in here. It just fell.
It's all good. There you go. I've always felt like I can't really tell the difference.
Not really. Yeah.
know?
No, I agree. Not
Maybe
really.
that is just smaller and easier to cut.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be a cute idea to wear this watch ring.
Yeah.
I need to wash my hands, and
Now you realize
I don't think it's waterproof.
Whoops! Hilarious.
But yeah, so Mom clubs,
Yes.
and then so at one time she did go non-profit because
Yeah.
she has such a giving heart.
Yes.
She just couldn't afford to stay open because she was giving everyone classes for free because she was seeing that they're keeping everybody out of trouble.
Yes.
And so, yeah, she tried to go the funding route and keep kids in programs and dancing and the studio open. And so I grew up in a studio and I grew up in a house like my mom and dad danced together when they had parties, and no particular style, but they just always were around listening to music
And dancing.
singing and dancing and whatnot.
I love that.
So you got the shallots in there, you got
Yeah.
2 eggs.
Yep. And we're about to add the goat cheese.
Okay. Let me know when to give her.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm so excited to eat this.
Me too. I've made this once before, but I didn't have the goat cheese last time.
Oh.
And I also used almond flour in a
Yeah.
different recipe, and the almond flour was okay.
It's heavier, right?
Well,
Or no?
I just think it made it kind of grainy-ish, you know, versus like the fritter really sticking together. But
Yeah.
tomato, man. When I saw the chickpea flour at the grocery store, I was like, oh, I want to use chickpea flour because you know how it does with falafel. It's just like...
It's like a lighter, fluffier.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I like the flavor of it. I feel like it just has more flavor, more meatiness to it. So yeah. And then we're gonna add a bit of salt and pep, and then we basically
Where's that?
make that into the pepper is the green right there. The salt is right here, so I'll do that.
Show me when.
Yeah.
Well, this is a smooth little...
plain green.
Yeah.
So, okay, from there, in terms of like dance stuff, then how did a career start to form for you?
Good question.
Okay, well, maybe I'll interject with saying like, I remember when I first saw you, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we like met that day, but like I met Shauna, who was in the dance community and and was teaching a class at Harbor Dance Center, and she was an ambassador for Lululemon.
Yes.
And I think I saw her at a Lululemon thing.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, I'll go to your class. And I went to her class. And then I remember you being in the class. And this was you've always had cool hairstyles, like always. But like
I
this
keep
was
it pretty simple these days.
yeah, classic.
I always have crazy colors.
Yeah, and this was an era of like a diagonal band.
With the asymmetrical bob.
Asymmetrical look. And I was just like...
With the yellow and orange.
That was actually with a bit of like red.
Yes,
with a
yes,
bit of red.
yeah.
And I remember being in that class thinking like, dang, like people in here have cool hair colors, cool hairstyles. Mainly you.
What year do you think that was? And thank
Shauna
you.
did too. Shauna had cool hair
Yeah.
at that time. It was like different colors. That would have been like 2008, 7. It was before I moved to Toronto.
Okay.
I remember this. So yeah, I remember seeing you in your class, but I don't remember us officially meeting until I moved back to Vancouver.
Yes.
And we were at like Granville, somewhere, a bar on Granville.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of other street dancers. And then, yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
I don't remember the Shauna's class though. Shout out to Shauna.
Yes.
Shout out to Jen. Shout out to
Yes.
Stone Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dance crew that I was in. And that
Yeah.
was part of the journey for sure. And I wouldn't be who I am without that part of my journey. Absolutely.
So you studied dance all throughout like high school.
Yeah, so I grew up doing jazz, tap, ballet, musical theater, but also was street dance. You know, I grew up doing like the dance competition route.
Right.
There wasn't battles or anything then, and if there were, and not that I knew of, and if they were, they were like dance competitions in a mall, and like malls were big then. So Much Music would have dance competitions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there were big dance competitions, and so you would come, and they would have all different kinds of break dancing competitions, singing competitions. So communities
singing,
then would come together and you would have competitions or be choreo or freestyle. But we didn't have, like the way they have battles now, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We had like, even when I was in my 20s, like 1 or 2 a year that you could enter. And then you would have competitions at clubs. You could do that. What was the question again?
You're like just going down memory lane.
Yeah.
No, but you're also re-sparking
Yeah.
memory lane for me
Yeah.
too, because I remember at Metrotown in the circle in the middle.
Yes.
And the radio stations were really big.
Yes.
As well as like supporting and like promoting these events. And
You're
I
right.
would remember hearing on the radio like something would be going down at Metrotown,
And
or
it would be a
whatever.
big event,
And it
yeah.
would be a big event.
Even like modeling, they would do modeling like agencies.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So, okay, you were talking about dance and then taking all these classes and stuff and training throughout high school. And then coming out of high school, where did you go with dance?
I wanted to be a dancer. So my mom brought really influential people, and then she started to bring people that were in the LA dancer realm. You know, back then, you didn't really know. Because we're not close to New York, I didn't really hear other than like the history of New York and its connection with hip hop. Because we're so close to LA, older dancers would go to. I was like, whoa, that's an attainable goal. It doesn't feel like it, but wow, you get to do what you love, and
Yeah, she used to organize those big dance conventions.
she has something
right?
called Triple Threat, yeah. And so we would have people like that from the industry that would come through, because the freestylers, they were getting work and stuff like that, but it was back then. It was the backup dancer was the goal, because it was the fame thing. It was it
where
paid
you could get paid.
It paid
Travel.
you. You got to dance in the music videos of the people that you saw on TV, and just we didn't have internet, so that was
Pre-social media.
yeah. So that was the goal, and so I thought that's what I wanted for a really long time.
Okay.
And I did that. I tried to do that, and I had the entertainment lawyer, and I paid a couple payments, and I was going back and forth to LA. That's a big jump, though, of seeing Kelly Kono and then being with the lawyer and being in LA and going back and forth. I was taking every class. I was performing at every carnival I could perform at there. They have a choreographer's ball. I would drive my crappy car with no air conditioning, by myself sometimes or with my mom or who would ever drive me. It takes a day to drive. I'd have a pack of Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I would just go. I don't even drink energy drinks now, but
Yeah.
I would do it just to like get there. I was so hungry to get there and dance and make something of my career and
Live the LA dream.
dance my heart away until I dropped and audition, and I did all that. And then my goals changed.
Did you get to do any like big music videos for artists that you were really stoked on, or tour with any artists?
I was doing a lot of work under the table because I still was working on getting my working visa. And I did an opening show with Sierra.
Oh my god!
And then I did, this is when Sierra was still coming up.
Yeah.
At the time, Sierra was also starting a dancer agency.
Oh wow!
And I was trying to get my working visa, and she was saying, and she was like, she was at the auditions in every step of the way, and she was all for dancers at that time. And for a lot of us dancers, she was willing to, with her agency, help us with the paperwork. Because for people that don't know, that aren't from Canada, and are in the States, it's really hard for us to get Entertainment 01 working visas. And when you get that visa, say there's something and you can't dance and you need to sustain yourself financially in between your dancing jobs, because you just proved you're in the top 10 or 3 or 5% of where you come from. You can only do entertainment on that visa to make money while you're there.
Wow. Very specific.
Yeah. If you need to feed yourself in between. So I was doing under the table jobs. I was promoting at clubs. I was doing bar mitzvahs. I was doing, there's artists out there. I'm trying to remember the artist, but I remember showing up to one under the table gig. And we do now have a big Persian community, but it's huge in LA. And I remember getting a call for a gig and showing up to this event, this huge theater.
Yeah.
And there's thousands of people. It's a freestyle gig. I don't know the songs.
Yeah.
I'm hired to go to this gig. I get out on stage. I'm like, this is a huge gig.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know, and am I prepared? Let's go. So I was doing those type of gigs to sustain me in between. And then I would drive to LA. I'd come back to like save money, and then I'd go back for a bunch of months, and then I would be back and forth and get in trouble by the border. I don't know if I should be saying this. Get red flagged and then drive back again, like just trying all the things. And Teresa Espinoza, she's a dancer that I really looked up to and still do, and paved the way for women dancers. She was part of a crew called the Beat Freaks. I really wanted to be in that crew. Yeah. And so I was a Monsters of Hip Hop alumni, or I still am, I guess.
What is that?
And so there's a hip hop dance convention that if you're in the commercial dance industry,
Speaking of which.
Can I touch this?
Yeah.
Is it getting it's getting crispy over here. Let me do it with the ring. It's getting crispy over here.
Yeah.
I forgot we were cooking.
Yeah.
It smells so good.
No, I like your stories. Continue. So
Cut me off whenever you want to.
Monsters of Hip Hop.
So Monsters of Hip Hop is a dance convention that if you want to catapult your career in the commercial world, all of their choreographers are working heavily in the industry and have been working in the industry. So here in Canada, we have choreographers and that work for the industry because we're a little mini Hollywood, right? So we have that too. But they're the ones that you see working on the big American projects at that time.
Right.
It's different now. You can go all over the world and be a professional dancer. Anyway, so their gear is to put you on and help be seen by industry leading professionals. So I heard of Monsters of Hip Hop. Just the name is a smart business name at the time. I'm like, Monsters of Hip Hop? Whoa. What is this? Let me check this out. And at the time, it was like Brian Friedman, so street jazz. And then you had Mr. Wiggles teaching a class. You had a mix. So I had no idea what it's about. I just heard it was amazing. And so I went to it. It's only in the States. I could be wrong, but I believe it's only in the States. They tour all over the States. And then I'm like, I had no idea. I'm like, I'm going to go be a part of this. I want to see what it's about. And so I went to Vancouver, Washington. So it's a dance convention. You learn intensively for the weekend.
Okay.
And they have a whole bunch of tour stops all over United States. And then at the end of their touring with the dance conventions, they give away a whole bunch of scholarships. But then they give away, I forget if it's like 10 or 15 scholarships where you get chosen to be in a show. And it at the time, it probably does now, it's prestigious because you work really hard as a dancer, and I felt seen when I got chosen to do that. And so when you get chosen, you go to LA, and ours was, I think they've changed it, but we got to learn an hour show from leading industry choreographers. And the 10 other people that got picked were from all over North America. And they create a show, and you create a 1 hour show, and then you work with amazing choreographers that are working in the industry. At the time, it was Nappy Tabs, Tabitha and Napoleon. They were, and still are, amazing choreographers that were doing a lot in the industry and still do a lot in the industry. And then a lot of agency, but the agency won't bring you on. But the agency won't bring you on unless you have your working visa. So trying to find all those loopholes. And after a class at Debbie Reynolds, shout out to that studio. Wow. You had studios in LA where you took classes to be seen. Yeah. And then you had studios in LA where dancers went to take dance class and be better and level up their artistry. And it wasn't a showboat. Right. It was about the art of taking class and learning and bettering yourself. And Teresa had classes there. And she gave me a ride home one time. Yeah. And we just got to talking. And after that conversation, I had a call with Clear Agency there. Is it Clear or MSA? It's so long ago. I'm sorry. I can't remember. It was either MSA Agency or Clear. And I got signed on to them and helped me do my visa and paperwork. What? Yeah. So that Monsters of Hip Hop, commercial dance wise, was really a big.
So that entered your era of commercial dance stuff.
Yeah, I did commercial dance here in Vancouver, actually. Not to like brag, but because we have a mini Hollywood industry here, I got to work on as a dancer, on cast, on different movies and TV shows here. So yes, it was the next step into getting introduced into LA and choreographers there and have working opportunities with them there. But also, it was here, home base, that I actually got that experience to work in the industry.
Is there any experiences in that world that you feel were super significant or notable or challenged you in a certain way that you'd never been challenged before?
Can I tell you, I'm going to go back to the Monsters of Hip Hop. Learning a 1 hour show in 1 week was so trying. At that time, I wasn't very comfortable in dancing super feminine, and so there would be choreographers that come in and they were ultra feminine, and I was like right.
Nothing's changed.
So it really made me dig inside, and I'm a freestyle dancer at heart, so even though I can pick up dance quickly, there's some people in the commercial industry that they pick it up like
so fast.
No other. And if you're not familiar with the style, it can be really challenging to pick up. And not only is it challenging, this show is in front of industry, like MOARRR came to the show.
Oh my gosh.
That you have people that came through that are, you just look up to and revere, so you do not want to mess up. This is like your first time dancing in front of these industry professionals where you're like, okay, no pressure. None at all.
B2K, no pressure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But what was the beginning of that question that you were talking about? Things about
in the commercial world, like anything notable or that challenged you in a new way?
as I'm seeing all this stuff coming out about the industry in LA, like there's a lot of stuff coming out about right now. And this leads me to my next part of LA. You know what? There's amazing people in LA. There's amazing opportunities. There's a lot of great things happening, but there's also a really dark side. And you can be a smart, well-rounded, grounded person, but sometimes some of the issues and personalities, you know, there's a lot of sharks there. And even if you have your head on your shoulders, sometimes you can get lost. And I didn't get lost, but there was one point where I went back to LA and I had been coming back and forth, sleeping on friends' couches, like doing all that life. I had my own apartment when I was there too, eventually. Not my own, but I had a roommate.
Yeah, it's hard to have your own apartment in LA.
And so there had been situations with like male choreographers and stuff like that in my life that I was like, And I started to notice that, you know, would these people be my friends if they didn't deem me as a good dancer? And I get it. We gravitate towards, you know, people that have like-minded goals and
Are talented.
because it's great. And I gravitated probably towards them because they were shining in their light with their... But for me, first and foremost, are you a good person? And even though I have great people in my life and I come across, you know, beautiful people, there was one point where I came back to LA after like trying to make money at home and come back again. And I kind of was a fly on the wall or a moment, and I was like, I don't know if this is what I want anymore. Because I don't think all that glitters is gold. And I'm starting to see it in a different light. And after I came back home, I was lost because the goal was to be a backup dancer, and that's all I wanted, and that's all that people told me you can do and be. And I had archetypes, but it wasn't a lot. There's lots you could do with dance, but street dance, it was a bit limiting at that time, or I didn't see all the archetypes right around me. The archetypes around me, professional wise, were backup dancers, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. That's amazing.
Hard work.
It's hard work. There's so much, but I wasn't feeling it in my soul. While I was doing choreo and trying to get better at being a artist that someone would want to hire, I was also freestyling a lot. When I would go into auditions, sometimes I would bomb the choreography, and I'm like, you know what? I got freestyle. That's gonna set me apart. And I didn't really like think of it that way, but I'm like, I know I got this on the freestyle side. So when I would bomb, like I would be in like a Missy Elliott audition, and it would be all the way to the end, and Missy Elliott's now in it, and it's the last cut. And I don't get starstruck often, but Missy Elliott at the time was making the bangers for dancers.
The bangers. And hiring the best dancers.
Oh my gosh, you wanted to be. And so, but also freestyle dancers. People that could do choreography but could freestyle amazingly. Cass, this is looking good.
Yes.
Wow. I always love going for food with Kaz because Kaz always knows the spots. And every time I go with Kaz, the spots, I'm like, oh, thank you for putting me onto this place.
Sometimes we gotta pop a Tums, but like, you know?
Yes. And so...
Yeah, don't pause on Missy Elliott's story. Come on.
Missy Elliott comes in. She's like in an air cast. She must have like broke a foot or fractured it. And I was just like, who am I? What's my name? Is this my left?
I'll just start dancing now. I'll just start dancing.
I'm just like, choreography goes.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this. Audition round, freestyle. I did good.
Yeah.
But they needed someone that also could do good choreography and freestyle.
So you didn't get the job, unfortunately.
No, I didn't.
Darn it.
I saw Missy Elliott. She saw me dance crappy, but...
That was your shyness moment. Notable and challenging.
There's one time I was in a Pink, you know the artist Pink?
Yes, Pink.
And I always admired Pink because she was outside of the box of,
Yeah.
you know,
Powerful
at the time,
voice,
just
too.
powerful entity.
Yeah.
And then I made it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Pink comes in. Last audition. I don't know what it was at that era. I was like I let my mind get the best of me and the pressure. And then I did decent. Not as well as I could.
Yeah.
But there was this one, they asked for special skills. This one woman has a special skills of one of those huge whips, like a lion tamer.
Oh, okay.
Like from the zoo. A circus era.
Okay.
Whoa, comes in. It was just like the way they moved with the whip. I was like,
Special skills.
oh, I'm gonna come in with my special skills. You know, like I'm a freestyler. Like I'm good.
That is hilarious. So from that point, it was like, okay, you wanted to step away from the commercial world because you felt like your goals were shifting. What did that next step? You came back, you were a bit lost.
I was lost for a while. I was lost for a while. What's nice is before all of this, when I was 19, 20, I had never left the country other than going to the States. And I got contracts. I was in a cover band. And I had a contract in Singapore, Thailand, Macau. And I sang and rapped. I'm not a good singer, but my stage presence. I learned so much on the fly. Yeah. And it helped me not be, and not to say just a backup dancer, but it helped me get more confident with my voice in saying my voice, even though my singing skills aren't the craziest, but just even talking on the microphone, it taught me another side to step out of my comfort zone, to try something new within the performing arts. And so even though I was really, and going back to being lost, I was lost. I was still teaching dance and performing all around, and I didn't really, but I was going to the clubs and freestyling like crazy.
At that point, had you entered any battles yet? Or was that
I
part of
entered
your
club
life
battles.
yet? Okay.
And then in LA, I was freestyling a lot. There was a choreographer named David Moore. He, so I was taking his classes, and then I would go and do his carnival pieces. And then a lot of the California, LA homes, they have really amazing garages.
Yeah.
That people would
to drive.
But people would turn them into like work or dance studios, or and so we would session in that studio, or not a studio, but the back garage. It's like a self-contained. And then a lot of the women that I was around loved to freestyle, so I wasn't going to battles, but we were freestyling all the time. And I was battling people in the club. When I was younger, I would, because we didn't have a lot of battles, if I found out dancers were in town, like, I can't remember right now, but say Justin Timberlake at the time, if his dancers were in town, or just anybody that was on the radio or
and
touring
with backup dancers,
I would find out before, when they were in town, I would try to find out where the after party is and where those dancers were going. And so me and Stu,
shout out to Stu.
We would be like, let's go to the club and find who these dancers are and battle them. That was like our way to like have that's how I was battling.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd get spanked.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd think we're really dope.
Yeah.
And there was no 3, 2, 1, your time's done. It would just be round for round, and the audience would be into it, and they would cheer, or whoever ended,
Yeah, we
or
just
whoever
break out in the cypher, basically.
Yeah. And so that was and then other than that, we would have club battles. Surrey used to have so many clubs. You had cheers, and it was such a huge. They brought lots of hip hop acts when I saw Busta Rhymes at Cheers. It was on Scott Road.
I remember hearing with Flip Out on the radio and Alibaba, like when they would announce things happening at Cheers nightclub. Like I remember hearing that.
They would bring big acts
Yeah.
that some of the even Vancouver nightclubs weren't bringing. And so I can't remember which promoters it was doing this, but they had battles, and I battled, Kenny Magisha from NON.
NON. Muggsy.
Yeah. I have memories of battling him in the nightclubs, and he would just be raw b-boy, like serving me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's okay. He'll be so mad at me in the battles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can't we just have a good time? But that was me learning that that's what b-boys do.
Yeah. Put that there.
Oh, do we see what's going on here?
Yes.
We're talking so much, we're forgetting we're making zucchini patties over here with the chickpea flour.
Zucchini patties.
Yeah.
Now now we're heading into the territory of the egg situation.
Okay.
So if you want to help by cracking a single egg in here without any shell.
Okay.
Or losing the shell in there.
Yep.
I'm putting a bit of vinegar into the hot water, waiting for it to boil.
Okay, you wait for it to boil.
Yes. And then once it starts boiling, I'll lower it down to a simmer. And then we make a whirlpool.
Yep.
And then we drop the egg into the middle of the whirlpool how it goes.
Are we using this bowl for anything?
Yeah, I can't remember. I just brought it out just in case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you can pop the egg there. That's fine.
I got a shell in here, so I'm going to take this out.
Mm-hmm. There we go. That's so interesting to hear about battles happening in that format. It also reminds me of when we had Savage Rock here and he did his interview with us, and he had said that, they would roll up to other dance competitions in the parking lot looking for the other b-boys or breakers that they wanted to battle. Like
Jarek would tell me that all the time too.
Battling didn't happen in this organized fashion of sign up. It was
gosh.
You targeted people.
And
I tried to find them.
And I want to say this, what's happening in the battles at Vancouver in the lower mainland right now. Back then, there was no bottle spinning and people waiting to go in the cypher. People wanted it so bad. Yeah. There was no such thing as a bottle. You just went in and go. It's happening at every battle right now. Yeah. And as someone older in the scene, I'm just like, go. Who wants it? Like, who... Like, you're really going to wait and waste all this music and waste all... I get it. You want to see what the opponent is going to... So you can respond to it. But as an audience and as someone older...
The energy just drops.
It just drops. And you're just like, let's go. Come on. Show you want it. Sorry. Passionate about that one.
So to give some context to anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, in like an organized battle, you have opponent here. You've got the DJ who's about to drop the music. They discuss if they're going to go 2 rounds, single round, a timed round, whatever. And then when the music drops, it's like whoever goes first starts it off. And what we've been seeing more and more is like nobody wants to go first because they want to see what their opponent does first to kind of respond to them, thinking that they might have the leg up, And then what ends up happening is like they're just awkwardly staring at each other, waiting. And like
you go.
And the energy starts to drop. And the DJ's music, like they've chosen that song. You know what I mean? And they're waiting. And at Orofest last week, I was just straight going... boring.
Were you?
And Tig was turning around laughing at me, and I was just like, I was that guy. I was like, boring. Came here to see a show. Let's go. Came here to see a battle.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
There was also this to talk about. There was battles in clubs, right? So. There was this one battle. It was called Caprice.
I love that. I remember hearing Caprice.
And they set it up like they brought a boxing ring into Caprice. And they did different nights, like multiple nights. And you had to make it to the next rounds. And you had to dance in the boxing ring in the middle of...
Yeah. Dramatic.
Yeah.
Like you're in your own Save the Last Dance movie.
Like that. They were trying to do that type of stuff.
You got served or whatever.
I was there for it. And I was battling Then, and don't get me wrong, there were battles.
Yeah.
You had Eric and Ivan doing breaking battles, lots of breaking battles, and then they would have categories as well too.
Yeah.
That were not breaking.
Are you ready to drop it in the middle?
I'm scared.
You got this.
Okay, you're gonna
ready?
spin it?
Yeah, I'm spinning it, and then I'm gonna...
Right in the center?
Yeah, right in the center.
Okay,
and
tell me
go
when.
in the middle. Nice.
Okay.
Ooh. And then we'll do the timer.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Ooh, so you keep spinning for 3 minutes?
Well, I'm just doing that because it's fun.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay.
That's how we poach, and then the spinning action makes the whites try to like come together.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So okay, we were talking about battles, and then you being lost for a hot minute, and then where did you surface out of that? Or what became important to you after that, / maybe it's now, in terms of street dance and dance for you? What dance is for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember what was the pivotal point of where I am now. Mm-hmm. I was teaching a lot of dance and and then more battles started to slowly happen, and I knew that freestyling was really fulfilling me. I also love creating choreographed pieces and film. I started to see that it wasn't just one avenue creatively within dance that fulfilled me. I started to see I do like working on film and TV. I want to maybe choreograph for it, but I do like freestyling. I love battling at that time. I'm not battling right now.
Yep.
And I want to get better at battling, and I want to smoke some people.
Yeah.
And I want to make a name for myself that way, because I love what I do, and and then also that with the internet, sounds weird with the internet.
Yeah.
You could start seeing battles around the world. Just a boo, summer dance forever.
These things started to really pop up.
They started to really pop up, and this is starting to build beautifully. Mm-hmm. And so I started to get really down and out when I just would put my energy into one facet of my creative journey. I like to teach. I also like to teach people that are beginners, and I like to see that spark light inside them when they're not taking dance to be a dancer, but they're taking it to get some of that light, some of that energy, some of that connection between body movement and enjoyment and release. And I think a big pivotal moment, this is also something I learned in life, we're going to keep on changing, evolving. What is the word I'm looking for? Reinventing yourself. Street dance is youth, hip hop is youth culture.
Yes.
It's street youth culture. So when you start to get older, you're like, where do I fit in with this? And our scene's very young, and there's not a lot of older people. There is. We have our OGs here, and Jarek was a great OG to come to and talk to, and I want to put in there. I remember one time we were at For the Love of It. That was a dance event created for a street dancer to help with his medical bills. He's from the States.
Yeah.
And Carla Catherwood started it. It was like our version of a carnival. It was a choreographer's ball.
Yeah.
But it started to raise money for him because he got shot in the gang at Purple Onion.
Oh,
no,
whoa.
Sorry. He got in the crossfire of gang fire shots in Vancouver, and it happened on our soil here. And so she created that show to raise money for him to have it turn out. Oh, it's cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
Anyways, at those events, dancers were coming from the States. And Vancouver really likes to give people props easy, which is part of the reason why I love Vancouver, Lower Mainland. But part of it, it's like, Jarek used to say to me, he's like, Tasha, in these ciphers, or these, whatever you want to call them, circles,
Yeah.
battles, and these people that are coming into the ciphers, and everyone's like, yay, come join. It's great and all, but don't let just people take your ciphers in your city. You got to give them a run for their money. And can't let them just take it that easy.
Yeah.
Give them a run for their money while they're here. That's also, I just had a connecting thought of learning how to battle, but in the clubs, and Jarek being there, and Jarek still going to the clubs, and not teaching me by the dance, but teaching me by telling me those things. And it's not in a dance class.
Yes.
It's in the culture and community. Yeah. So from that too, I wanted to give back that way, the way Jarek, the way my mother, we have so many of my educators, and I haven't listed them all, my mentors. I didn't really start changing my practice until I was 29. I went to Netherlands. I moved to, I also used to be married, and my ex is an artist. And
that was the part of the story I didn't say. Is that when we officially met, it was because of our 2 exes. Ruby boys. Anyway.
But everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you wonder, like, why does all this heartache happen? Why does this? It's to teach you lessons. It's to help you grow. It's to gain character.
Yeah. School of life stuff.
To reassess where you're at, why you're choosing these people. It all happens for a reason. And this person that came into my life, I'm going to say his name, Nix. He's an artist, and he really wanted to work. Was an amazing graphic designer, and I believe he's an art director now. And he wanted to live an artist life. Then I didn't realize that I was living an artist life, and I wanted to so badly live off of the fruits of my labor and love what I do, be proud of what I do. And he was in the corporate world, and I started to see other facets of graphic design, of photography, of direction in video shoots, direction. He was also a photographer, so I would direct the shoots. I would be there from the storyboards to this was in my mid-20s. And so we started a clothing brand together, and we had an office in Kiefer. So I stopped dancing professionally for a bit in my later 20s. And I focused on the brand. Our brand was called Nine.
It was great. I had a few hats actually.
Yeah, and I learned different things about promoting yourself. And he was crazy about promoting things online, the aesthetic of it, the aesthetic of the design.
Yes.
And I really learned a lot from that, and I carry that with me till this day. Do you need help?
Nope. Keep
Are
chatting.
you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is a pretty poached egg. Okay, my poached leg is all over the place.
It's here. Do you mind to crack another egg into the
Absolutely.
into the bowl there? Yes.
And so I'm really trying to stop saying in interviews, but it's still
okay.
happening.
And our storytelling is, you're telling all these gems of moments of your life that like take it back. And it's sometimes you just get caught up in like the train of thought.
Yes.
But it's
Thank
so
you.
cool that you learned through that chapter of your life more about like branding and art direction and all that, because as you're saying that, I can see how that applies to the stuff that you're doing now with
Absolutely.
starting your training group Higher Ground, or like with Diamonds in the Rough and
Yeah.
that crew, and just like the attention to detail with
Thank you.
That
means a lot.
whether it's the outfits or like, the choreographic direction or the graphic design of all of that, like all of that has applied.
During COVID, I took some graphic design courses. Went back to school, and was I 30? 39?
Yep.
Online. Oh, it was something. But anyways, I didn't go through a full graphic design course.
Yeah.
I just took some a la carte from BCIT to help me out a bit better, be a vertical business with all the different endeavors I have.
Yeah.
So I went to, how are we doing for time?
Good, I think. Yeah, we're at about an hour. We're almost done our food.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat it.
Let's do it.
But, we've got one more egg after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where things started to change was also learning my worth. Mm-hmm. And I still learn that to this day. And I'm still practicing that. I feel like I'm at a good place that way. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, being in the industry, you always feel like sometimes you're not good enough. It justifies to... And so, even though I was kicking ass, I didn't always feel like that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't always have people around me that help me believe in that in myself. I mean, my family, nothing but supportive. Mm-hmm. But certain people in my life that I choose to have around me, and it played with me. And so with this ex-partner, mm-hmm. we moved to the Netherlands together. He got a job art directing.
Yes.
And we picked up and moved there. I always wanted to go to summer dance and battle in summer dance. When I got there, I battled in summer dance. I didn't win, but I made it to top 16 or 14 or 12 or something like that, because they also have battle guests. Mm-hmm. Didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody in the Netherlands at this time. I picked up, I was 29, and I just started everything again. And I was in a down place in my life. I was really insecure with who I was. So going and picking up that time and being secure with myself, it was big challenges, and it taught me a lot. I was in some of the darkest moments of my life there, but it taught me some of the richest life lessons that I keep to this day.
Like what?
Believing in yourself. My mom always believed in me, and so many people around me. But in those dark moments when you don't have your family beside you, and you don't want to tell them the things that are going on in your life because you want them to think everything's going good.
Yeah.
I would have moments where I was so sad that I couldn't get myself out of the funk of being so sad. I would be like, get up, Natasha. Go to the living room, put on music right now and move, and just keep on moving. Even if you're crying while you're moving, even if, and don't judge yourself. Just move and feel free and move to the music and let it out and express. I've always had a special connection to dance, but in those darkest moments, dance has really been my therapy.
Yes.
And it's also because when I went to the Netherlands, I was like, ooh, new dancers, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to meet people at events. The first event I went to, I went into a cypher. Wow. Yeah, let's go. And then the yogurt goes on top.
Yeah. How did you see that? That little red pepper just jumped.
Popped right out.
Randomly just jumped right out.
We cracking more eggs?
I got one last egg going.
Oh, nice. Long story short, it told me in the Netherlands, I was excited to see people go to my first battle and no one talked to me. People in the cypher just dissipated, and I felt very alone. The first person I talked to, I ended up being friends with later on down the road. But even though I was in a dark period and I just wanted to meet dancers and socialize, and I'm like, okay, no, why do I really love to dance? I can't let this stop me, deter me. I'm just going to keep on moving, and that's going to be part of my therapy. And I'm going to dance because I freaking love it. And it's my therapy. So anyways, I started to teach at different dance companies there. I taught at the Amsterdam University.
Oh, wow.
And I started to, how you do when you move somewhere new, meet new friends, make new connections.
Yep.
Meet my people. Okay. You doing the drizzy?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's do a little drizzy.
Ooh,
or is it a dollop?
go.
I feel like it's a dollop. I feel like yogurt, it's $1.
Is it? I feel like it's a thinner viscosity.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a drizzle.
It's like, I'm going to wait for my one more egg.
Oh, yeah. We got to wait.
I think it's done though.
And so the Netherlands really showed me a different way of dance. You know, Europe does dance so different.
Yeah.
And it showed me a different way. It showed me a way that, because I was tired of teaching the same old choreographed class, and it showed me a different way to, I had a class, there's a man named Henry there that had a dance company of really amazing young children that were little battle monsters. And he trained them on weekends, and then instead of going to like a choreo dance competition, he would go with them to battles.
Yeah.
And that was their dance competition. And we would train them on the weekends, and then we would go to these kids, and I'm like, I love this. We're actually teaching them how to dance, and I felt like my skills of teaching dance, not just on the choreo side, of freestyle, of foundations, of freedom, I could finally teach that here in the city. Everything was structured where you have to have that end product of that choreo, you film it. And that was the first time I felt like, whoa, this is really appreciated here. And in the spaces I was in the Netherlands, I would be in some of the breaking spaces. You had a 10-year-old dancing in a cypher, and you had a 50-year-old and a 55-year-old, and everywhere in between. I'm like, I want this in Vancouver. I want to see this. This feels as a I was only 30 at the time, but as a person, like, to see that representation of all different ethnicities, and of all different ages, of all different generations, this is so needed. And from then on, when I came back, I wanted to share some of the positivity that those different formats and ways and use some of those to, and when I came back, because the battles are so big there, because I started to do well in some of those battles and win battles in Europe, it got me to be able to judge at different places and be in different rooms and be at different battles judging, to see how different places in Europe. I wanted to bring that back, and I also wanted to level up the scene here.
Yes.
I'm coming back, and I was traveling for years. I'm coming back, and this is the time. This is the time for me to start sharing the information on my travels, on this long journey.
Your whole journey.
And this is the time to really invest in the youth, and also find avenues and platforms to make them feel heard and uplifted, because there's a lot of choreographic avenues, but what are other ways we can, these freestyle dancers that are hungry, to put them on and to give them opportunities and spaces that wasn't really there for me at the time.
Yes, which is exactly what you're doing.
Thank you.
Exactly what you're doing. If y'all didn't see it in the link in the bio that we wrote up, like, check out Higher Ground. This is a training group that Natasha had started a few years ago. And what I love about it is, like, you really authentically teach them all the elements of hip hop, and also, like, other things under the umbrella of street dance and club dance. Like, you're really giving and organizing trips to, like, New York City, the Mecca, you know, or you also organize a trip to go to LA for another festival, which was really cool.
Thank you. They also learn, they have them do graffiti workshops and MC and rapping workshops too, to help them give a more well-rounded
context of the culture. We need to try this because
we do.
It's time. I am putting.
What's that one?
This is a Little Creek dressing. It's from BC. This is my favorite sauce. If anyone's ever in Vancouver, look for this in your local grocery store. It's a mix of, like, tamari, nutritional yeast, blah blah blah, magic sauce. And now, dun, 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 if you're just tuning in the last hour, we've been getting to know Natasha, her crazy dance journey, which, like, I love being able to hear more of the actual details.
Thank you.
Of all these little stories. And while that has been happening, we have been cooking up zucchini fritters with that is sitting and holding a bed of mushrooms and red peppers, poached eggs, a little bit of yogurt, shallot, green onion sauce, and some avos.
I'm so excited. Cheers.
Cheers! Let's do this. First bite. Let's see how these eggs turned out. Oh,
Woo!
yeah, that's what we want to do. I didn't put salt on them, so if we feel like we need a little
I bet you
salt.
that drizzle is...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of mushroom.
See, I'm making a mess already, y'all. I'm sorry.
That's just what needs to happen.
Yes. Okay, big bite.
Wow. So good, so healthy. There's a towel right there. Oh my gosh. Yum.
Oh, I need to get some more of those mushrooms.
Yeah, get them on your fork, like a full. Yeah, you see a little perfect bite here.
Oh, with the avo? So how long have you been doing your thing with Vancity Beats?
You are our 62nd interview.
Congrats,
No, wait,
yo.
61.
Wow.
No, wait. I didn't do the math. 63.
Wow.
Well, season 1 was 32 interviews. You're our 31st interview
Wow.
for season 2. Meaning we're almost at the point of how many we did last year in 4 months, which is great.
That's crazy.
And the show has evolved into a cooking show now.
What made you go that way?
Well, I mean, multiple reasons, but one of the things I wanted to try when season 2 started with Big Papa Pump, where I was like, instead of
Papa
going,
Pump, sorry.
You know what I
Shouts
mean?
out to Papa Pump.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big fan of the show.
Go listen to the
Been on the
music.
show. Great DJ. We love him. Yeah, it came from, we would go to restaurants, but we would only do like 30-minute interviews because restaurant people are busy and they've got to open or they're dealing with customers. And so we're like, well, if we're cooking on the show, then we can control the time and, it'll be more of a personal environment. And I mean, I love cooking. And so also I went to school for TV and I low-key said if I was ever to get into the TV broadcasting world again, like it would be in the lane of like a cooking show or something like that. So I love that I'm basically building my cooking show portfolio as we speak. But yeah, it's hard, man, to like be live, manage time, manage cooking, and then also like ask questions to a guest. But I mean, you made it super easy because you just went into Storyland.
Sorry. No. I'm not sorry.
No, don't apologize. Those are such gems and throwbacks. Like, I remembered Omarion.
The Icebox era.
Icebox era. Also the era of like, because he was on You Got Served.
Yeah.
With Megan Good. Like,
at that time in LA, when I was dancing at Millennium, he would come and watch classes and sit in on classes. A lot of people would.
Can we talk about Diamonds real quick? Like we're kind of almost done towards our show, but I can't not talk about Diamonds in the Rough. And actually, one of the questions Jamal had was, you don't have to go into every detail of each crew, but he wanted to know the list of all the crews that you've ever been part of.
I have been dancing for over 30 years.
Bomb, bomb.
So, let me get this straight. There was a crew that I danced with. Her name was Addie Chan.
Oh my God, I remember Addie.
Yep.
She moved to Toronto and that's how I met her.
Addie Chan, my sister Natalia. This one woman named Lacey. I can't even remember the other ladies right now. And we would do club competitions. And then I was in this crew called Dot Nickel. And they were all club dancers. They weren't studio dancers.
Yeah. Dot Nickel?
Yeah. And then Jamie Hizon was in that crew.
Yeah.
Do you know Soul Good Entertainment?
Yes, of
Do you know
course.
Sean?
Mike Alcantara and...
Do you know who Sean G is? He passed away of a rare blood
my
disease
God, I
or
had no
cancer.
idea.
He was in that crew, and yep. And a man named Sean Jimenez, and then another man named Antoine. Antoine is a b-boy with Jamie.
Okay.
And then there's a guy named James.
Girl, you're naming everyone in the crew. I said name the crew.
Sorry.
It
It was called Dot Nickel.
Yeah.
And then the next crew I was in was Stone Fox.
Yes.
Oh, I was also on a crew called the New Trip that was put together we were the first West Coast HHI competitors
Hip Hop
in the
International.
States. Yeah, Hip Hop International. That was called New Trip, and then Diamonds in the Rough.
Yes.
That's
Which
a lot
is
of
the crew
crews.
you're still repping.
15 years, bye-bye.
15 years. So good. And put down 2 new members recently.
3.
3.
Julia, Maya, and Rosie.
Yes.
Ay.
And how would you describe Diamonds in the Rough to anyone who's never heard of this crew before?
It's a family. It's a sisterhood. That's what I would say.
Yes. So if you remember back in January, we interviewed G.I.J.K. She is a member of Diamonds in the Rough.
I dig.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to be interviewing Momo.
Oh, yeah?
You might know her from the breaking scene.
You might know her.
You might know her, Loki. She's just in France right now, getting ready for a show. But yeah, when she comes back, she's going to be on the show, also in the crew. Yeah, but their last performance at Orofest, I was fangirling so hard.
Thank you.
10 minutes straight of just like, yeah, taking it everywhere, full on, full
We really
out.
did take it everywhere.
Yeah, you really took it everywhere. And really showcased each dancer as well.
Thank you.
Which was
We worked really hard on that,
Yes.
so I think to hear that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's very reminiscent of an era of dance that I had grown up in high school where, you know, we went to competitions. We went to like Notre Dame for Strictly Dance. We went to these things that were like such a part of our high school experience. And the routines, which would be like going through different music, transitions, different formations, like I feel like you keep that alive and it's so good.
That's the Roberta in us.
Yeah, shout out
And
to
Helen,
Roberta.
yeah.
So yeah, I think you have to leave soon, dude. Like it's almost 2.
I do.
Yeah. Like your next thing. We're gonna finish this. We're gonna keep eating. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you
show,
for having me.
Tasha, for sharing your stories, for bringing your light, your energy, and who you are to the community.
Thank you.
If you ever want to learn more from Tasha, follow her on Instagram at Natasha_Gore-Tex. Why Gore-Tex?
It's a long story. It's a dancer story.
We're not gonna get into it because we know. But yeah, shout out to everyone who's tuned in on the live stream, everyone who's gonna watch the replay. This has been Vancity Beats, Eats,
And more!